segment. These $750,000 into the show. All right. We're going to talk about segment. We're going to talk about Hugh Hefner. Now, for all you, I can't even imagine even millennials got to know who Hugh Hefner is. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about Hugh Hefner because I find it extremely interesting. Now, for middle-aged men that are in their 40s and 50s, Playboy magazine was it. Yeah. It was, when you're 16 and 17, it was the lifestyle that you, when we talk about getting stuff so you can gain the attention, affection of women, you did stuff so that you can get girls that were like in Playboy. Okay? You literally, I remember, I swear to God, now, I'm almost embarrassed now. When I was 17, I remember thinking, I can't wait till I'm in my 20s so I can date girls like this.
In your 20s.
Let me tell you a story. Okay. We'll get into as I get older, and so, you know, at our age, Playboy was it. Hugh Hefner was God. He literally was a god because he was the ultimate player at the time. And he was all the way up till yesterday. He was. Now, for the folks that are old enough to remember, many of the women of the day really threw a lot of poison on this guy. Why? Womanizer, ass grabber, misogynist. You know, he wasn't married, but if he was a polygamist. You know, and he kind of just put it all under this umbrella like, it's all part of the sexual revolution. And I just happen to be the nucleus of it, and I'm getting all the ass. Yeah. And there was a lot of controversy about that magazine, and we always used to have great articles and great interviews, and always used to be the joke. I read it for the articles, which, you know. Sure you do. And what I find extremely interesting today, on the day after his death, he died yesterday at 91 years old. How many women are praising him today? Like Lisa Chastain here. Yeah. And it's just curious to me that the women of today look at a Hugh Hefner differently than their mothers did. And why is that?
Power and femininity. I would say power and femininity. I posted one of his quotes. I don't remember it off the top of my head today, but it was about being yourself. And he was a trailblazer. He was a trailblazer in a lot of ways, but he was himself. And so as an entrepreneur, I appreciate that about him. There was no apologizing for who he was. And so his way of being was consistent throughout the years. He never changed or wavered from it. I think that women associated with Playboy as power, that they could feel beautiful, that they could be beautiful, they could be themselves, they could revel in their sexuality. And I think he was a trailblazer for people, and he kept it classy.
That was always been the thing with Playboy.
Always been classy. So women, if they make it to Playmate status, they've made it.
It's like a Super Bowl ring.
It's it, and they're beautiful and they're celebrated. And so I actually love the Playboy brand for that, because it's not demonizing, it's not degrading women. It's really celebrating who they are.
That's very interesting because you go back 30-some years, that point of view was a minority. Different. It was a very minority. It was really the women that were involved in the magazine, not so much out of the magazine. So very interesting, because it's for me, Playboy's been a little bit of an evolution for me, because I remember I was a subscriber. I had a hellacious collection. I sold it a long time ago. I still kick myself in the ass for.
Wow. How many volumes?
Oh, I had them from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I see, this was in the 90s, so I didn't have some of those, but who cared at that time? You were just more interested in the ones that they were this thick. Playboy back in the day was this thick every month.
Wow.
It was huge. It was a huge magazine. But what kind of interested me was, as I got older, I tended to shy away from it. And I'll tell you why. I have to be honest with you, as a 45-year-old man, 48-year-old man, I just wasn't attracted, and I felt a little weird gawking at 19-year-old naked girls.
I
okay?
agree.
I just thought they were too young.
Too young.
They were too young.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 26, they weren't too young.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time, Lisa, when a playmate was older than me. It was shocking.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this girl is older than me. Because they were always older. They were always older women that you tried to, like, someday I'm going to meet a girl like that.
Right.
But as I got older and the girls just seemed so young,
Right.
it felt kind of weird.
You grew out of it.
Yeah, I kind of grew. I always just say, God, can't they just stick a 35-year-old in here that just looks great? I remember there's a magazine here in town who wanted to work with Danny Vegas, and they're a local men's magazine. And they had the articles and all that stuff, but I told the lady, your girls are too young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be part of that magazine because these girls are too young.
Okay.
And they don't, it's just, you know, hey, I love hot girls, believe me, but you know what? Like I said, 19 and 18 at this point in my life, I just think that's creepy.
Well, I think also what could be happening too is that 40's the new 20.
Mhm.
That is, we're living longer and vitality extends, that really 18 is a lot younger today
Mhm.
than it was 20 years ago, because women were having children. I mean, they were more women,
Right.
and women are maturing at a different pace. And so that is also part of it, I think. That could be anyway. That just,
It's kind of interesting because I drop my daughter off at high
Right.
school every day, and I just, some of the gals walking through the parking lot, I'm like, God, that girl's in high school. I mean,
Right.
looks like a full-grown woman physically, but I know mentally she's just a kid.
as a kid.
You know, so interesting. So that's why I've kind of tailored off the Playboy thing over the last 10 years. But Hugh Hefner, it's just very interesting that, you know, everybody's kind of singing his praises now, because I think Lisa's right. I mean, he never wavered from, you know, he always said, I'm giving women a platform to unlock the shackles of sexuality in women, which still persists today.
Totally.
It's a very interesting topic. I do think that is a lot of nurture more than
Nature.
I think it's some of our sexuality is not learned. So which is, in human beings, is a very few things that are actually instinctive, where everything's learned in human beings. So very interesting. So okay, 2 minutes left in segment 3. Hugh Hefner, let us know what you think. I mean, golly, what do you think
Yeah.
about Hugh Hefner? Was he just basically a perv that basically fell ass backwards into a cool gig and got laid a lot? Or was he the trailblazer, just ran around in his pajamas all the time, taking Viagra to the day he died, and doing his thing? I don't know.
I don't know,
But he had hotties all the way up to the dying day, man.
Yeah, I mean, how do you know you made it? For a
For a
what's your
man?
definition of success?
Hugh Hefner.
Right?
Hugh Hefner is the definition of success for men. Every man would probably say, you know what? I would be Hugh Hefner for a little while.
For a minute.
Certainly. Anyway, okay, you know what, Jill Gamble, I tell you what, why don't we end a little bit early, and then we'll make it up on segment 4, because we have Alexis Brown of Alexis Brown Law Firm coming in for segment 4, Business Titan, $400,000 into the show, whatever. We have some lawyer questions.
Cool. Bring it on.
Bring it on. We'll be back right after this.